Hi, welcome back to English 111 Online. This week we're going to take the information that you put together last week um, for Core Project 3 data analysis and expand on it. So what you did was you took some of the information on the country that you chose and you made 4 paragraphs and then you submitted that. And what we're going to do is go back to that document and work on the body paragraphs a little bit more and add an introduction and a conclusion so that you have a full rough draft that you can submit to Smart Thinking and get their feedback on it, apply it to your essay as you continue to revise it next week, and then the final essay will be due next week on March the 31st. So I added, well, first of all, let's go back and take a look at the data analysis sheet itself. When you get ready to submit this to Smart Thinking, you can get the information for your description from this data analysis essay, MLA 8th edition, 3+ pages, and for the description of what you're supposed to do, you can just copy and paste this objective right here. Copy and paste that. That way the Smart Thinking tutors will know what you're supposed to be doing, and that's always helpful to them when they're looking at what you've done to know what it was you were supposed to be doing. Okay, so I already went over some of this document with you last week, but let's scroll down and find the part about okay, writing the essay itself. Okay, so and I apologize for the way my screen looks. I'm having some problems with the text going crazy from time to time. But anyway, so make sure you have proper MLA format. You should have already set it up, but if you didn't, go back and make sure it's in proper MLA format. I just put all that stuff on there again to remind you. And when you get to the end of your, there goes my text again. When you get to the end of your last paragraph, if you'll enter or insert, if you just go up to the top of your document, insert a page break, that'll make sure that your works cited page comes out on another page, and you won't have to worry about that. I use my finger to scroll up here. I might have made some comments before on your essay that if you need to insert a page break, but anyway. For your introduction, always in an introduction, it is to explain to your reader any background that he or she needs to know, and it's also to set up the importance of this document that you're or this essay that you're writing. And so the same thing for this. Your job in the introduction is to get your reader interested in the topic of gender gap, first of all, and its importance. And when you're trying to put that in there, you might remember back to when we read the introduction to Lean In, and we said that leaning in, or having men and women both lean in to reduce the gender gap so that there's more equality or parity, then it makes for a stronger economy. It makes for a better nation. It just improves everything if everybody has equal access to all the things that are be covered in this essay: education, opportunity for work, health and survival, and also in the legal, in the political representation. It just makes for a stronger, more viable economy and country. Okay, so, but you also, in addition to that, need to explain to your reader what this global gender gap report is. And notice right here where it's highlighted, I put, you can, the first time you mention it in your essay, you can spell it out like that. And then in parentheses after it, you can add GGGR to it, which is the abbreviation for it. So you don't have to type it out every time. You can just use the GGGR, but you do have to explain it to begin with. So your introduction is very important, and so I assigned the data translation first to get that out of the way because that can be overwhelming sometimes. Forgive my Greek lettering here. Oh well, you know what it says. You can read your document. I don't know why mine's so messed up. Probably something in my computer's gone bad. So you remember that that your it's really screwing up here. Remember that your document begins, or your introduction begins with a hook. And so this is going to bother me throughout this whole thing. But anyway, I added another document, which is the outline for this. And you can see on this document, I have included here all the information that needs to go into your introduction as well. Get my attention with some kind of hook, some amazing fact, unexpected fact. Narrow it down. And in that narrowing down part, you want to give the importance of or an explanation of what the Global Gender Gap Report actually is and why it's important, and mention why it's important for countries to move closer to parity. Remember, parity is equality. Disparity is there's a gap. It is not equal. Equality, gap. And so you can use parity and equality interchangeably, and disparity and inequality the same way. So I've given you information that I think is important for you to put into your introduction. I added another document called Key Findings of the Global Gender Gap Report. If I can make it look like English here for you. Oh, this is aggravating. All right, and particularly here in this is from the Global Gender Gap Report. I just copied it and pasted it into this document so you know where to look for it. And the pages that this came from were in the introduction, so they were lowercase Roman numeral VII 7 and VIII, which is 8. But I like this definition right here to use, but you can't see it anymore because I actually did this at work, but then I had a problem uploading it, so anyway, that first sentence in that, I know this is going to be aggravating for you to watch this video with this, but that very first sentence there, the Global Gender Gap Index was first introduced by the World Economic Forum in 2006 and as a framework for capturing the magnitude of gender-based disparities and tracking their progress over time. If you want to just copy and paste that into your document, into your introduction, because that is a really good explanation. Now, of course, when you do that, you're going to need to say, according to the Global Gender Gap Report, and you're going to need to put it in quotation marks and use parenthetical citation at the end with the page number. And for this particular part, it will be VII. So I thought this might be helpful. Also, if you just read through this part, I ask you to read through the introduction when you were putting your data together last week, but in case you didn't, read through this. It might give you a better understanding of what this gender gap report is all about anyway, and it might help you explain it to your reader in your actual essay. Okay, so back to the outline. So narrow it down, and then you come to your thesis. And I put a template in here, and yours will actually have English words on it that looks right. There we go. So the template for the thesis statement is name your country, and look at, from looking at all of your data together, decide, has it increased its overall gender gap, maintained its overall gender gap, or decreased its overall gender gap since 2006, comma, based on, and you're going to list the 4 categories that your body paragraphs are, and then which means what? What is the point that you intend to make about the data? Which means, say I'm talking about Japan, does it mean that Japan is well on its way to equality in these 4 categories? Or does it mean that they have a lot more work to do? But some point that you want to make about the 4 categories. And then once you do that, there's my thing again. Once you do that, you'll have a separate body paragraph for each one. Economic participation and opportunity, topic sentence, letting the reader know what the paragraph's about. Your evidence that you brought in from the report, and then your commentary. And in your commentary needs to be, what does this mean? What do all these numbers mean? What does all this say about Japan in the category of economic participation and opportunity? That's where you use your own words to explain it, to show why they are on their way to equality here. You could mention the difference between how they shape up now versus in 2006, and then make a statement about they're decreasing the gender gap in this area, or whatever your commentary happens to be. But that would just be some things you could mention. The same thing, you would have a body paragraph with that same information in it for every category, all the way up through political empowerment. And then you would have your conclusion. And so back to the document itself, I talk about the conclusion. Scroll down to the conclusion and make it English words. There we go. So some of it came up English words. This is so aggravating. Something's going to have to be done to fix my computer. Anyway, you want to remember that in the conclusion, we do the opposite of what we do in the introduction. You start with a restatement of your thesis, and then you broaden it out, sum up the individual 4 categories that you talked about. Are they making progress? Have they done an exceptional job? Are they falling behind in that category? Whatever it is, for the 4 things, and then end with a general broad statement. Okay, that would be interesting, but on the same topic. You might make a suggestion for the country's improvement. You might make a prediction of where the country seems to be heading, but something general like that. And then your works cited page entry. I actually did this in Times New Roman 12-point font. double line spacing and the hanging indent. So if you want to copy and paste this into your document for your Works Cited page, it is the way that it should be, except for your access date, maybe the date that you accessed the material to do your essay. You could change that. So I think it's pretty obvious what you need to do this week. Once you get your rough draft together, instead of me going through them and making comments on them, and I know some of you did a good job of looking at my comments last time on the rhetorical analysis and improving your final rhetorical analysis, and some people didn't pay beans attention to my comments and just submitted basically the same thing for the final. So instead of me going through everybody's essay and looking and making those comments, I'm just going to leave it up to you and smart thinking. And then I have stated as clearly as I know how to what you needs to be in this essay, what you need to do for this essay. Okay, so back to the Works Cited. Back to the page. Let's see. So submit your rough draft to Smart Thinking. Provide evidence of your Smart Thinking feedback in the journal that's provided for it. And that is right here under the graded assignment for this week, the Smart Thinking journal. When you click on that and open it, you'll see you do this the same way that you've done journals in the past. And here are the step-by-steps for what you're supposed to do. Submit your rough draft to Smart Thinking, copy and paste your feedback in this journal, and add a couple of sentences at the end explaining how you plan to use your feedback to improve your rough final draft. And then use it. And if you get to the end of the week and you have not had enough time to submit your rough draft to Smart Thinking, go ahead, when you finish your rough draft, do it. And then I've got this journal open for 2 weeks. So even if you don't get it done before midnight Sunday night, you will still be able to do it when you get that feedback back. So go ahead and do it, and I won't count it against you if you don't submit it until next week. Well, that's what we're doing this week. If you have any questions, please don't be frustrated. Contact me and let me help you, and I'll be glad to do that. So have a great week, and I'll see you next time.